Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi's and low fidelity, low quality, in-your-face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question, what's going on in the world today? We'll be covering 5 headlines from across the globe and then choose one to go into a more detailed analysis. And it's everyone's favorite day of the week. That's right, it's Friday, meaning it's Freedom House Friday, and a look at levels of democracy around the world. Today, for our third story, we're focusing on the South American country of Uruguay. But first, the news fresh off the press. And after a long, hard week of real in-your-face news, it's gonna be Good News Friday. Because, why not? Source, Reuters World News. Putin uses World War II anniversary for bridge building with U.S., Britain. Aw, isn't that cute? Putin building bridges instead of exploding them. And how did he do it, you may ask? With a piece of lo-fi, low-tech, via Telegram. Old school, Putin. Old school. What happened? Did the internet go out on your Zoom call because you were busy silencing free speech and media? Apologies, I digress. The implications. Today is known as VE Day, meaning Victory in Europe in World War II over the Nazi regime. Today marks the 75th anniversary since World War II ended in Europe. A question to students of Lofi Poli Sci. Is Putin serious? Does he really want to rekindle 75-year-old friendships? Write in and let me know your thoughts. Next up, source, BBC News, World Section. Carlos Ghosn. Turkey charges 7 over escape from Japan. That's right, Lo-Fi Nation, we're bringing you news of a prison break, and you know everyone loves a good prison break story. Or wait, do we? I mean, in real life, when a criminal breaks out of prison, this is not a good thing. Correct? Think on it, Lo-Fi listeners. The story. Ghosn is a former Nissan car industries executive. He is charged and was charged and held in prison and house arrest in Japan for financial misconduct. He fled the country after months of captivity and went to Beirut, Lebanon. People have been bringing Lebanon into a lot of international stories of late. From there, he went to Istanbul, was briefly detained, and then somehow fled the country via airplane. Now the Turkish government is charging 7 of the airline workers with migrant smuggling. Ghosn is reported as saying he had no choice but to flee Japan because he would never receive a fair trial. His whereabouts are currently unknown. The implications. The implications? We'll tell you the implications. If you got money, you can go anywhere and do anything, and there's always people willing to help you. I wonder though, will Ghosn help those 7 people in Turkey that helped him flee the country? Or will he simply sip Mai Tais on a beach somewhere while others take the fall? Prison breaks and international mystery look cool when 007 does it, but in real life, it normally plays out quite a bit differently. Like, it's real. Now, moving on, because it's time for Freedom House Friday featuring Uruguay. Geography lesson, Lo-Fi listeners. Uruguay borders Brazil to the north, the Atlantic Ocean to the east and south, and Argentina to the west. In 2018, Uruguay had a World Bank recorded GDP per capita of just over $23,500 a year, making it a fantastically well-faring, middle-of-the-way country as far as economic development goes. Let's remember that Freedom House creates a freedom score from 0 to 100, based off of the level of civil liberties and civil rights in a country, as well as 3 categories of free, partly free, and not free. And in 2019, Uruguay received a Freedom House score of 98 out of 100, making it free, making it one of the freest countries in the world and definitely in the Western Hemisphere. Congratulations, Uruguay, you win some respect and admiration for what it's worth. But to quote Freedom House, Uruguay has a historically strong democratic government structure and a positive record of upholding political rights and civil liberties while also working towards social inclusion. Although all citizens enjoy legal equality, there are still disparities in treatment and political representation for women, Uruguayans of African descent, and the indigenous population. End quote. That's right, Lo-Fi Nation. Always remember, and never forget, no matter how free a country looks from the outside, there's always more work to be done on the inside. Because democratization is, and always shall be, an ongoing and never-ending process. And now for our headline in the Spotlight segment. And let's have a little fun with the last 2 stories with some sciencey spacey stuff. First story, AP News, Oddity Section. Space Agency. Human urine could help make concrete on moon. And isn't this amazing, Lo-Fi listeners? That's right, the European Space Agency said that the best way to make lunar living more sustainable and less reliant on supplies from Earth is to build with lunar dust and human urine. The mixture of lunar dust and components of human urine could be used to create lunar concrete and increase sustainable living on the moon well into the future. The background and implications of the story. No background, no implications needed. The space agencies are going green before we even build on the moon. Well done, you lovely space scientists. Send a little of that green moon dust this way, if you please. And a last piece of news from the BBC's Science section. Scientists obtained lucky image of Jupiter. The moon has been bright and beautiful out there lately, Lo-Fi Nation. Now just take a minute to search for this picture of Jupiter. It's truly worth it. The implications. Jupiter is one of the planets known as the gas giants, because it is completely made of gas, and the outer atmosphere is always shifting in lines across the planet. We won't go into details about why it's a lucky image due to the exposure and the telescope used. Read the article. But here, as we always like to say, take some time tonight to go outside, stare up into the stars, and always remember, you're never alone, Lo-Fi Nation. We're always out there with you, because we are simply we. And that's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Please write in with your questions, comments, or requests of countries for our news segments, or top 10 global lists you want to see, too. Lofi Poli Sci at planetmail.com. That's Lofi, L-O-F-I, Poli, P-O-L-I, Sci, S-C-I, at planetmail.com. Let me say thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, wash those hands, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.